Mark, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Being here. You have started a sports fund in 2024. Let's start here. Why sports? And what are you thinking about investing in now?
Well, I guess sports because I've always loved it. I actually think as an asset class, it's something you want to be invested in. And I think you're literally in the first, second inning. I think you can make a fortune of money investing in sports. So that was the reason why I started it. You just don't have that much competition right now. So you've got probably, I don't know, $1 trillion worth of opportunities. And you've probably got 10 billion worth of capital that's going against it. And you're starting to see that more people are realizing that.
How much money in the fund has been allocated already? How much is left?
We've raised over $1 billion, and we've invested over half of that.
Okay. So you got about a little less than half of it, I guess, to invest. What interests you right now?
There's a lot of different things. I'd love to talk about the confidential deals that we're doing, but obviously they're confidential.
Sure, but maybe in the broader
Yeah,
you can talk a little bit about it.
I think we're looking at investing in sort of minor league baseball. We think that's a huge opportunity. We want to invest in the WNBA. We think that's a huge opportunity. I think we want to do some more in a bunch of soccer teams, especially women's soccer. Big believers in that.
You tried to buy Angel City.
We tried to buy Angel City. We are investing right now in Europe and investing in women's soccer. We'll probably do a little bit similar to that in the U.S. So those are a few of the things that we're doing.
You mentioned WNBA.
Yeah.
What's the state of the Connecticut Sun process?
I think it's hard. I think for me, I would love to do it if we are able to move the team to Hartford. I grew up in Hartford.
Is that the why behind that?
No, it is actually. I know it's people find that hard to believe, but I grew up in Hartford, and the team right now is in an area of Connecticut that's much smaller. And sort of the idea was, look, there's no professional teams in Connecticut. I know the governor pretty well and thought this would be fun and interesting for the state to try to keep a team there, but move it, I think, to Hartford. I don't think that's going to work. I think
why is the state against that?
It's not the state. It's the NBA. I think you need to get approval from the NBA to move a team.
Yep.
Which I think that's just the way it is, because it would prevent. Like I used to own the Bucks. I would love to have moved the Bucks to New York, right? I mean, that's right. It's a little bit of a bigger market
Sure. And closer to you.
Yeah, and closer. But if you think about it, you really can't do that. So you need to have.
It seems a little different moving it to Hartford, Connecticut, from a team that's in Connecticut already.
Yeah, but it all depends on where markets are and sort of where the TV market. And part of it is, maybe the NBA wants to sell a franchise to Hartford. So I think there's a lot of different reasons. So I think it's going to be hard.
So in that case, would you consider investments in other WNBA teams? Because
yes, I would.
You would.
Yes.
And do you want minority stakes or majority control?
No, I think I think in trying to do the Connecticut Sun, majority would have been great. But I think you're going to have the same type of appreciation. So I think we'll capture that appreciation as a minority stake.
You sold out of the Bucks.
Yes.
Is that a signal that your interest lies more in these sort of emergent sports like the ones you just talked about? I know we'll talk about PBR in a second, but obviously the women's sports. Is this sort of a small cap, large cap issue where it's like the if you really want to return, you're better off putting your money in these emerging sports rather than the big guys? Or would you still be interested in investing in an NBA team or an NFL team? If those
absolutely. I think, look, there was family reasons why we did it. And I thought it had become a very big chunk of my personal net worth. And I thought it made sense to sell at that time. Now, should I have held on? Sure. If you're going to tell me it's going to be worth $4.5 billion in 2 years, I should absolutely hold on. Like, I think the NBA is always going to appreciate. And when I looked at it, I thought it would appreciate at 5 or 10% a year. If it appreciates at 10 to 20% a year, then I think it's I think that was a stupid sale on my end. I think if it's appreciating at 5 or 10, that's fine. I'd like to continue investing in the NBA. I think Adam Silver has done a phenomenal job. I think he's a great commissioner. So I want to keep on doing that. I think the league is one of the best leagues. I think you'll see us invest hopefully in NBA Europe once those franchises become available.
So you mentioned that the NBA is going to, you think, maybe appreciate 5 to 10%. That doesn't sound like the appreciation of an emergent team, right? You would hope for more than
10%.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So again, that kind of leads me to thinking, do you feel like your money's better spent on these smaller sports at this stage in the game?
I think you will make much more money. You'll make multiples on sort of, I would say, emerging leagues. You just will. Like, if you're right, you'll make 5, 10, 20, 50 times your money.
Yeah.
Right? I think in the NBA, the NFL, I think all the current leagues, you'll make somewhere around 10% plus, right? Which is a great return. So I think for us, when we look at it, we want to do the current leagues where you're going to have a portion of your capital there, but then you're also going to do emerging leagues where you can make a fortune of money.
Would you be interested in being one of these approved funds to invest in an NFL team down the road?
I would.
Yeah.
I think that actually would make sense. And again, but I think that's going to, so the play there is I think you'll make 10, 15%, and then you've got a new media deal or sort of they can opt out and do a new media deal in about 4 years. And I think that's sort of the play if you're going to invest in the NFL.
Let's talk about PBR, Professional Bull Riders. I was shocked when I saw what the TV ratings were for PBR. For those that don't know, the average TV rating is like 1.5 million viewers or so. Now, Granted, they do get a football lead-in on CBS for that, but I'm just like, was this something that you came to realize and understand upon doing research, or have you been a big PBR fan for a long time and knew that was something you wanted to invest in?
So I guess I'm not supposed to say this. I'd never been to an event prior, but once I started looking at it, you end up getting blown away by the numbers, which is a little bit of what you just went through. So do you know what an average baseball viewership is in the United States for an average baseball game?
TV?
Yeah.
About 1 million?
That's exactly it. Yeah. It's 1 million viewers. So somehow you've got more people watching a PBR event than you have watching.
Right. Now, they
baseball.
don't have an NFL game leading into that.
It doesn't make a difference. Yeah. Still, like, you've got 1.5 million viewers. That's a lot of people. And as we started doing the work, came to the conclusion that here's a league that's just going to keep on growing. And it's growing sort of 10% plus a year. You've got more and more people going. And when you go to an event, now I've been to a lot of them, people love it. Like, I've never met anybody who walks out going, oh, I didn't like that. And when we sort of do our polling, 95% of people who've been to an event love it.
What's the demographics in terms of fandom?
I think it's pretty much everybody is going. What we're seeing is it's much more rah-rah. Like, people love the action. It's every 3 minutes there's a ride. So because of that, you're pretty excited, and people love gambling as to whether somebody's going to be able to stay for the full 8 seconds. Have you ever been on a bull?
No, never. Yeah. Nor have I been to an event. I don't have to feel so bad about saying I've never been to a PBR event, though I have been invited. So maybe.
So we have an event coming up, right? It's September 18th. You should come. Come as my guest. We'll actually have you come to the shoot where you're supposed to go sit to get on the bull. I would tell you.
You're going to put me on?
No, I'm not going to put you on. But like, just being there, you don't realize how strong they are, how big they are, and what a phenomenal athlete you have to be. So I think it's something that's going to keep on growing over the next 5-10 years, and I think it's going to be a great investment for us.
Do you feel like part of it is that the TV rights are undervalued, and those are going to escalate over time?
I think everything's undervalued. I think the TV rights are undervalued. I think the teams are undervalued.
Can you ballpark how much CBS is paying for PBR?
I'm not allowed to say, but not enough, I guess, would be my answer.
Okay, sure. And is that because to some degree you would think that the money would be in line with ratings, right? They should
be.
pay, right?
Yeah.
And they're not.
They're not even close.
Yeah. And why are they not?
So that's the big question.
Okay.
And I think part of that's the arbitrage, right? If you sort of think about it, where baseball is getting, I'd say close to $1 billion, per year or something for their media deal, bull riding is nowhere near that.
Yeah.
So it should be, and I think ultimately it will get there. Now, it doesn't have to equal it, but it should be somewhere around 20%, 30%. There's nothing wrong with an arbitrage. The arbitrage just can't be that large.
And is that this sort of larger theme of investing in emergent sports, is the play media rights? Is that where ultimately that's where the money comes? And so that's what the bet is, that the media rights will escalate on these sports?
So the play is three ways. So you only make money in sports three ways: ticket sales, sponsorship, and media. So I think on ticket sales, you're going to see pricing of that continue to go up. So you're going to make money there. Sponsorship right now is extremely low. Right? What you're paying, I think you're getting, I think for all the sponsors, they're doing it at a low price and they should catch up. And that'll keep going up. And then media is the same thing. I think as media catches up, ticket sales catch up, sponsorship goes up, all these teams are going to be worth multiples of where they are today.
How important is the team winning to you?
We always want to win. Like, you need to win. People love, you're an American. You like to win. Right? Nobody goes, my team, worst ever.
Sure.
Right? They're the worst, but I love my team. Like, everybody believes their team is going to win. Right? And we've got frustrated Jets fans. You've got frustrated Giants fans. It doesn't make a difference. Everybody's frustrated. So in bull riding, you want your team to be winning and to be doing well. The better they do, the higher the value for the team.
I was just wondering if that was part of the reason why you decided to sell the Bucks, where they won a title and you kind of looked at it and you're like, small market, free agents, probably don't want to come to Milwaukee first. Like, is this really going to happen again for me anytime soon? Am I reading too much into that?
No, I think you're reading a lot. I think you're pretty correct.
Yeah. There was this recent report about how the Clippers and Steve Ballmer were potentially circumventing the salary cap with Kawhi Leonard. Are you aware of that story? And
I read it.
What did you make of it? Does it ring true to you?
Look, I've known Steve a long time, and I've known his partner, Dennis, a long time. I've always found them to be honorable and gentlemen, so it's not something I would ever believe. I've always found him to follow the rules and do what's right. So, that's my opinion. But I've never seen Steve or Dennis ever do anything wrong.
Was there pressure on you at all to do something like that when you were owning the Bucks?
No, there's pressure on you to win, but there's always pressure to win. There's not pressure to skirt the rules, right? And I think in the NBA, everybody knows the rules. You follow it. And it's because you know that if you don't, you're just going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the punishments are pretty severe.
Yeah, and it's just, so it's never worth it. And by the way, it's always easy to just always say, hey, I've got to follow the rules, right? And people get it. There hasn't really been any issues in the NBA if you take a look over the last sort of 5-10 years. So I think it's probably a lot of smoke, but I don't think there's much there.
I want to talk about private equity and investment in college sports too. I know this is something that you've talked about before. Where are we there? Because I'm still having my own personal troubles grasping exactly how close we are to sort of, I don't know what is the right word for this, assetizing these teams. Are we close?
You are. So we've been, I would say, on the 1 yard line about 5 times.
Okay.
All right. And we haven't been able to get it done.
Yeah.
It'll get done.
What's the hurdle?
The hurdle is always at the end of the day, nobody wants to be first. Right? Where'd you go to school?
I went to undergrad at Harvard.
All right. So they're not known for their sports.
No. I mean, they're known for some sports.
They are for some. But
not the sport that would be private equity investment.
No.
No.
But if you sort of think about it, like if you're at Michigan or UCLA or any of these schools, the teams make quite a bit of money. The pressure the teams have is very simple. They've got to now start paying the players. So it's either you donating to end up giving money to the athletic department for them to do this, or they've got to sort of monetize it in a way so they can keep on competing. And I think for the top 20 programs, top 30 or top 50 programs, you're going to have to ultimately do that if you want to compete. So it'll happen. It'll start happening. And I think you'll see quite a bit of it over the next 5-10 years.
What is the NCAA's thinking on this?
They have no say in it. It has nothing to do. Because really, think of let's say the team makes $100 million a year. We'll go and say, all right, great, we'll buy 20% of that, right? So we're not buying control. We don't want to have control. So whether we buy 5%, 10, 20, we'll buy a percentage. And the question is, are you buying it at a 10 multiple, 15 multiple? You know, what's the multiple you're buying it at?
Just for people that are not familiar with this, and honestly, even myself, the process here would be you would be turning a team into a corporation, essentially, or an asset? Like, what is the technical?
So the way to think about it, assume a team makes $100 million of revenue. You would go out and say, I'll buy 10%, so that's $10 million. So now whatever the revenue of that team is going forward, you're going to get 10% of it. So the question is, what are you paying for that?
Right.
Are you paying $100 million? So 10 times.
And this is some sort of like derivative security in essence?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
It's just what you're doing is you've got a contract saying all the revenue that you receive.
Okay.
So the idea is by me giving you money today, you're going to get better because you're going to spend it on players, and therefore your revenue is going to go up, and therefore I'm going to start getting a good return on my money.
So you tell me, is that why does no one want to be first? Is it just because it's new, or
it's because it's new? Everybody's first to be second. Like everybody's like, I'll do it after. I think part of it is it's still. I think it's people view that sports is pure.
Right.
Right.
But it's getting less and pure by the day.
No, and that's the problem.
Right.
I mean, it really is. It's not how you and I grew up. I mean, I know I'm older, but you ended up thinking that players or athletes were playing and they were in college for 4 years, right? Then it became they're there for 1 year. And now, athletes never got paid. And today athletes are getting paid. So it's changed quite a bit. And I think it's going to continue changing because if you don't, you're not going to be able to pay the athletes.
Right. So in essence, perhaps the catalyst force will simply be a team that realizes the funds aren't there without doing this.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to compete. So if you don't, here's the question. Are you going to take money away from your medical program? Are you going to take from your history program? From scholarships to end up trying to pay to have a better basketball team? And I think that's the issue. And so that's going to be hard. And ultimately, I think schools are going to say, well, look, we're not going to take a program away. So therefore, we're going to have to sell a piece of this and hope that it grows.
I mean, perhaps you're biased in answering this, but I'll ask anyways. What do you think of all of this? Like, is this a positive direction for humanity to go in?
I don't know. I mean, look, I can make you the argument both ways, right? I can make you the argument that you go to college and you're supposed to get an education. And if you can play a sport, that's great, right? I played basketball at Clark. The difference is today that sports is just a big business. So people are going, if you're going to Michigan or you're going to UCLA, or you're going to Duke, and you're going to go there to play basketball and you're hoping you're getting into the NBA, that's a business. So should that person get paid? Right? And it's not for me to judge. I know what I would like. I'd always like everything to be pure, but it's not.
You mentioned there was some interest in minor league baseball.
Yeah.
What's the thesis there? Because that seems less of a media rights play to me.
It has nothing to do with media rights.
Yeah.
There, what it is they've been run by mom and pops. So you're going to go in there, and the thesis is that by having 5 minor league teams or 10 minor league teams, you can end up running those better, and you should be able to make more money.
And that's more on the sponsorship and the ticket sales.
That's correct.
Perspective.
Yep.
Are there particular things that you see at the minor league level now that are glaringly not run well?
Yes.
And what are they?
Well, take a look at just sort of, I would say, digital media. If you've got one team, you've got to either you have somebody who's doing it or you don't. But if you have 5 or 10 teams, you can end up doing it for all 10. You can end up doing more on sponsorship. You can do a lot of different things to try to make things better. Because really all minor league is trying to get people into the stadium, right? To sort of watch that game. And you're trying to make it more of a family atmosphere. So I think there's a lot more that you can do. At least that's our thesis. I hope we're right.
Talk about TGL, one thing and another
Sure.
thing, your investment in. I'm curious about what you think the long-term profile of TGL is, because it's one of those things where I figured, okay, come out with a bang, people are going to be curious about it. But my own sort of skepticism is I don't know if this has staying power. What makes you think it does?
I think because everybody who's young, who's sort of, I would say, between 21 and 35, loves it. And the reason they love it is for them, they love the interaction with the players. They want to hear the interaction. That's number one. Number two, they don't want to watch for 4 hours. They want to watch for sort of 2 hours. They want to feel they're part of it. And I think people really like the format. So I think it's for a younger generation. And I think for folks like me, my generation loves watching that. But also loves watching regular golf, right? Whereas I would tell you, younger generation is much more into TGL.
You mentioned you're interested in doing the NBA, their international Europe play. What is appealing about that investment to you?
I think the NBA or basketball is one of the fastest growing sports. You see that there's a huge amount of interest in Europe for basketball because of Euro basketball. I just don't think it's been run that well. And I think the NBA, putting the imprimatur of the NBA, and with Adam and the team over there running it, I think you're going to find that it's going to be a great investment.
So how much at this stage are you familiar with the specifics of what they have in mind?
I don't think they've disclosed it.
Yeah.
I think what they've said is they're going to try to do about 10 teams. So I think all of that's going to come out in the next 3 to 6 months. And then it'll enable people like me to figure out, who we should invest with and what we should be doing.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
The idea would be you would want to invest in a specific team of teams would be that play, right?
Yeah.
So then, you'll have to figure out how many flights you want to take over there, right?
And do you want to be in France? Do you want to be in London?
Right, exactly.
Do you want to be in Germany?
Do you have any vacation houses abroad?
I do not.
Okay. Well, you may need to buy one then.
I may need to buy one.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Marc, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure.